The Kings are back, baby. So back. We're making the play-in. Then we're winning in the play-in. Getting that 8 seed, beating OKC in the first round. Domantas Sabonis, he's leading us to a championship. He's better than Jokic. DeMar doing DeMar things, our foul baiting king. Zach LaVine, the best three-point shooter in the league right now. Keegan Murray, the next Kawhi Leonard. Malik Monk, the best six man in the league, taking down the mighty Hornets, the 19-win Hornets. We just lost to a team with 16 wins. I didn't think, going up against a team with 3 more wins than a team we just lost to. I didn't think we could do it. I really didn't. A Daquan Jeffries-led team, a Yusuf Nurkic-led team. I didn't think it was possible that the Kings could pull this off. But then winning this makes me believe that the Kings are championship contenders this season. That's the mentality for the rest of the year. Because why not at this point? Why not? Why not us? Got nothing to lose at this point, right? Like, in all seriousness, that's the mindset going forward. Just like positive vibes, because I have my thoughts about what this team is long term and even for the rest of this season. But at this point, it's like, it doesn't matter. We got, what do we have, 5-6 games left in the season? I think 5 games. At this point, it's just like, no need to be negative anymore. Let's just, have a positive mindset, see what this team can accomplish for the rest of the season. At least the Kings took care of business here, because obviously we can't take that for granted. Took care of business with Sabonis absolutely dominating inside, DeMar dominating from the free throw line, holding the Hornets to 8 for 35, shooting from 3, 33 for 83 from the field, and after an 0 for 10 start from 3 themselves, shooting 16 for 36 from three-point land. At first I was thinking, oh, here we go again. Can't make a 3, didn't make a 3 in the first quarter, but then finally knocked one down. And I mean, even in the first quarter, they were able to take an 8-point lead into the second quarter because of their defense and also Charlotte's abysmal shooting as well. I mean, the first quarter was disgusting if you like shooting at all. It was not just both teams missing. It was both teams clanking shot after shot, like bricking it so badly, hitting so hard off the backboard, like not even close. These shots were not close. There were a bunch of air balls in this game, a bunch of just horrible shots. But luckily, the Kings really only contributed to that part for the first quarter, while Charlotte just did that the entire game pretty much. To start this game off, the Kings got their offense right at the rim in transition. Because they couldn't hit a shot from outside, it was right at the rim. It was Sabonis getting to the rim in transition. It was Keegan being strong at the rim. It's so funny now, Keegan has added this new move to his arsenal, where he goes strong, uses his shoulder to carve out space down low, mostly in transition, sometimes in the half court, but mostly in transition. And you can just see when he decides what he's going to do. You can see he picks the ball up and he picks up a little bit of speed, and you can see with the way he moves, like, what he's going to do now. And so it's the type of thing where, like, it works, and especially in transition before the defense is set, it really works. Maybe someone will figure it out a little bit because, we can clearly see what he's going to do, and so then he'll have to, add a little counter to it. But for now, it's working really well, where he just lowers his shoulder, gets inside, and, he's not at risk of getting called for a charge or anything. Like, he does it very in control. But everything was inside. I mean, Sabonis, for the second straight game, started off dominating inside. And another team that he can absolutely dominate, because you have Nurkic on the other side, but Nurkic isn't some great defender. And then after Nurkic, there's just not much for the Hornets. Diabate, Taj Gibson, like, who's guarding Sabonis? And Nurkic got in early foul trouble, so they have to defend Sabonis with Diabate or Taj Gibson. I mean, that's just not going to work. Sabonis had 7 offensive rebounds. Most of them were probably off his own misses. He was selling guys assists, especially Keegan. Keegan had 2 assists in this game. Obviously not a guy that gets very many assists. Sabonis sold multiple of them, it felt like. That Keegan was getting in his playmaking bag. He was getting on the ball. He looked all confident, driving inside, playing the 2-man game with Sabonis, and Sabonis was just selling his assists to pad his rebounding stats. But pretty much every time Sabonis missed, he was getting his own rebound and putting it right back in. For the first couple of minutes, the defense wasn't great. They were letting the Hornets just be able to run these pick and rolls right in the middle of the floor with too much space. And so the Hornets were just able to space out the floor and get easy looks every single time out of this pick and roll. And that lasted for just a little bit. It got tied at 12. And then the Kings picked up their defense. They weren't allowing the Hornets to just easily run these middle pick and rolls. They were forcing them to the outside. Keegan had like a million defensive plays in a row. He got a block. Then he stopped Miles Bridges at the rim. Then he stripped Miles Bridges. Then he deflected a pass out of bounds. Then he took a charge. That was all like possession after possession after possession. And it was good to see that he was also super involved offensively. When you look at the box score, you might not see it because he only had 5 points. 2 for 8 from the field, 1 for 6 from 3. Like, it doesn't feel great. 1 for 6 from 3. He just wasn't knocking down those shots. But he was getting involved in the offense just by getting on the ball and looking confident handling the ball. And he looked comfortable operating the pick and roll with Sabonis. And Keegan was feeding Sabonis inside. No one could stop him. And Sabonis had 9 of the Kings' first 16 points. And so really the entire first half, especially the first quarter where Keegan had his big stint, he was getting involved in the offense and making things happen. In the second half, it didn't really happen as much, but I mean, he only played 25 minutes and I mean, the game was pretty much over, so I don't think there's too much to read into that. But the Hornets were clanking shots. They missed 3 straight threes on a single possession, all horribly. And because of how badly they were missing them, they got every single rebound. And then they got fouled on one of those rebounds. I think it was Okogie. He got to the free throw line and he missed the first free throw badly. So this was not exactly a tough game for the Kings in any way. It was just the Hornets missing shot after shot after shot. And the Kings were defending well, right? They were forcing these outside shots. They weren't letting the Hornets just get into the paint easily. And you're forcing guys who, aren't that great of three-point shooters. And Miles Bridges to take 11. Because, of course, a lot is put on Miles Bridges' shoulders when LaMelo's out and Brandon Miller has been out for a while. And a ton of other guys as well. Really, the one guy that started to do anything for the Hornets was KJ Simpson. But even he got locked up on the perimeter by Sabonis. When the bench came in, we had DeMar playing with the bench. Devin Carter came in, which was good to see. His first game back, and he had an interesting game, but we'll get to that. But it was Devin Carter, Malik Monk, Jonas Valanciunas, DeMar DeRozan, Trey Lyles. DeMar had 13 points in the first quarter. He had 8 attempts from the free throw line. He was just drawing foul after foul after foul. And so that's how the Kings were able to score in those bench minutes and also make up for just the awful three-point shooting that was happening. They went 0 for 9 from 3 in that first quarter. One of them included a DeMar DeRozan half-court shot, so we don't need to count that. 0 for 8. But right when Devin Carter came in, he was full court pressing. He was full court pressing the entire game. It looked like he got a block from the side when he was coming over to help in the mid-range, although he didn't get credit for a block. Also, Keegan only got credit for 2 blocks. I'm not agreeing with how they're giving out blocks in this one. I think Devin Carter got a block. I think Keegan had a lot more than 2 blocks. But I did like how Devin Carter came out, full court pressing guys, super active, but it just went too far. But we'll always take going too far on the physical and disrupting side rather than the other way. But to start the second quarter, you had Zach LaVine coming in for DeMar DeRozan with that exact same bench lineup. Monk, Devin Carter, Valanciunas, Trey Lyles. And it was just all LaVine, Valanciunas pick and roll. And that was resulting in a lot of good shots. LaVine was making good decisions out of the pick and roll. They were getting shots inside, shots outside. LaVine was getting all the way to the rim, or he was finding Valanciunas inside or finding a shooter. But the Kings then missed another 3. I think it was Devin Carter that missed a 3. But Valanciunas gets the rebound, kicks back out, and Monk finally gets the Kings on the board from beyond the arc. And for pretty much the entire second quarter, the Kings just picked the Hornets apart in the pick and roll. Whether it was Malik Monk, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan with Sabonis or Valanciunas, they were picking them apart in the pick and roll. It was especially pick and roll heavy towards the start of the second quarter. then it got a little more into the dribble handoff game, especially with when Sabonis came back in and Monk was in with Sabonis, because they have more of a DHO relationship than the normal pick and roll. But either way, that's just how the Kings were abusing the Hornets, and it was putting Yusuf Nurkic in the action. He had 3 early fouls. And then when Nurkic is out of the game, then that just means there's nobody inside for the Hornets, and Sabonis or Valanciunas are just able to eat down low. And the Kings started to hit some threes. Keon hit a 3. Levine hit a 3 coming around to Sabonis DHO, which is always nice to see. Monk did the same. Keegan had a nice play coming around a screen from Sabonis where he was able to hit a skip pass to Malik Monk, who knocked down a 3. So Monk had 3 threes in that second quarter, and the Hornets did not start knocking down their threes. Simpson hit 1, and that was pretty much it. Even when the Hornets would score, the Kings were just running it the other way. On one play, the Hornets get a layup. Malik Monk quickly pushes the other way, finds Levine running down the court for an easy and 1. Monk really found his offensive flow. He was able to get to his floater a bunch coming around these dribble handoffs from Sabonis. There just wasn't much resistance from the Hornets defensively. They were allowing us to get so far inside the paint really before there was any resistance. The only worry was when Sabonis got a putback and then he started limping. He came into this game questionable because of his ankle, and so that was a little concerning, but it looked like he was fine. He was able to play the rest of the game, at least as much as he needed to, only 27 minutes. Devin Carter picked up his 4th foul pretty late in that second quarter, so not many minutes for Devin Carter. It was kind of disappointing when he fouled out, because then he wasn't playing in garbage time. 14 minutes, 6 fouls for him. And the Kings ended the quarter well. DeMar got doubled, hit a great skip pass, like a beautiful pass to Keegan in the corner. Keegan finally knocked down a 3 after he had been struggling, and that put the Kings up 19. It didn't feel like the Kings were in danger of losing this game really at any point. The only thing that was a little bit worrying at the start of the third quarter were all the fouls. There were 3 early fouls on the Kings, and it was the Hornets getting inside, but just like the first quarter, after the Hornets got some good looks, the Kings were able to tighten things up and stop that from happening the rest of the quarter and force the Hornets into just bad 3-point shots again. Keegan had a nice block on Nurkic that led to a Zach LaVine transition finish. And he also turned it over, trying to handle a little bit, but I'll take that. There were a couple times where he just seemed a little bit out of control when he was handling the ball. But these are the things that I want from Keegan, right? I want him handling, and it's okay if he makes some mistakes, because overall that's going to be good for his development. But DeMar got cooking a little bit. Levine got cooking a little bit. Sabonis was being aggressive with a nice spin move on Diabate and slam. There was a play where the Hornets went to a zone, and Keegan immediately attacks right to the middle of that zone with a nice drive, drops it off to Sabonis inside, and like I said, Sabonis blows the layup, but then just gets the ball back and draws a foul. And the Kings cooled down offensively in the middle of that quarter, but they were doing enough defensively. Malik Monk and Devin Carter both drew moving screens. Towards the end of the quarter, when the Hornets got into the bonus, there were a couple of Valanciunas fouls that sent them to the line pretty much for free, but again, it felt like the Kings were in total control. They were only up 18 at one point pretty late in that third quarter, and so it kind of felt like, okay, well, if we don't end this quarter well, if the Hornets go on like a little bit of a run here, then all of a sudden it could get a little worrying. And so what happens? Trey Lyles hits 3 straight threes. DeMar hits a corner 3. Lyles gets a steal and gets fouled, and the Kings end the quarter up 26. And so it felt like a massive lead, but because the Kings up to that point hadn't been shooting a great percentage from 3, they were still in the 20s when it came to 3-point shooting. It wasn't like a 20-plus point lead or a 30-point lead, even though it felt like that it definitely could have been. But it was a very nice end of the quarter to be able to pretty much put the game away there. Devin Carter picked up his 6th foul, fouling Seth Curry on a jump shot early in the 4th. Levine put the game away at the start of the 4th. He had 10 points in less than 5 minutes in the 4th quarter. Classic Zach LaVine fashion, of course. And we got some very early garbage time. And the garbage time unit so interesting. Because Devin Carter is out, that means we had a lot of bigs on the court in garbage time, right? We had Isaac Jones, we got Trey Lyles, we got Jonas Valanciunas. It's maybe clogging up the court a little bit, but it allows Doug McDermott to come in and get his threes up. He came in and immediately hit a three. But it just became watching Nurkic post up Valanciunas on one end, and then the offense on the other end wasn't exactly pretty. Like I wanted to see Isaac Jones get some touches in the post. But when Valanciunas is in, that's not really going to happen. And Trey Lyles is in. But Valanciunas did foul out. So we had two guys foul out. There were a ton of fouls in this game. Kings fouled 28 times, 34 Hornets free throws. But we did get to see Isaac Jones hit a corner three. He had some nice contests at the rim. And then Jay Crowder came in, and there was just a moment where he catches the ball in the wing. Isaac Jones is in the post. Lyles is pointing to Isaac Jones to get the ball. I'm like, yes, we're going to post up Isaac here. I want to see this. And then Jay Crowder just shoots a three from the wing, and he made it. Jay Crowder, when he gets in the game, he's just getting up his shots. He had another crazy shot attempt. It's the garbage time is always so funny to me because it's like Doug McDermott, he's just going to get it up threes, and that's fun. We're watching Isaac Jones for everything Isaac Jones does as a young player. And then in comes Jay Crowder, who we don't know what he's going to do. He never plays. He just gets up these random shots. But yeah, it was just, one of these late March games, early April games where there's absolutely nothing on the line for the Hornets, but they also don't have like the young players. Like at least when we lost to Washington, at least we got beat by like their interesting young players that could be something. With the Hornets, that's not even really the case. Like they have Tijan Salon, Moussa Diabate, KJ Simpson was doing a good job being guarded by Keon Ellis and was scoring. But like they're starting Miles Bridges, Yusuf Nurkic, Seth Curry, Daquan Jeffries. They're playing Taj Gibson and Josh Okogie. Like it's not the same as what the Wizards were doing. And so, I mean, it would have been insane if the Kings had lost this game. They played Jalen Sims 21 minutes. I think this was his first NBA game. Because I saw before the game on Twitter, I think the NBA G League account posted that Jalen Sims was getting called up. And the first thing I saw, I thought when I saw that post, I'm like, that's Jeremy Lamb. That dude looks like Jeremy Lamb. Like not exactly when you really get a look at him, but just when I saw it out of the corner of my eye, I'm like, that is Jeremy Lamb. I seriously thought it was because Jeremy Lamb was a Hornet. So I actually thought for some reason there was a post about Jeremy Lamb on the Hornets. But yeah, I kind of went through that game extremely quickly, as you might have been able to tell, because it was just such a nothing game. Like the difference between this game and the Stockton Kings game that I watched last night, it's night and day. If you aren't tuned into the Stockton Kings, watch the Stockton Kings. It's kind of sad that Isaac Jones doesn't get a play in the G League playoffs, but I think he'll be okay with his new NBA contract. But the Stockton Kings advanced to the Western Conference Finals yesterday. And that game, like if you didn't watch it, at least go watch the highlights. That game was one of the most fun but just basketball games I've ever watched. The scoring in that game, elite shot making from both sides. Mason Jones went for 47, had like 8 or 9 assists and a bunch of like he was flirting with a triple double. On the other side, you have Ty Washington who actually gets a triple double. He was going crazy. It was close the entire way. Both teams elite shot making, like I said. Scala was going crazy in the first quarter. Terry Taylor came up with some huge buckets in the fourth quarter. And it really was a game of who can get the stops first. And Stockton was able to get those stops in the fourth quarter. The Suns scored 30 plus points in the first 3 quarters. And in that fourth quarter, Isaiah Crawford happened. He locked down the Suns. 17 points total in the fourth for the Suns. Isaiah Crawford, I mean, this is why you should be excited about Isaiah Crawford. He didn't have an amazing offensive game. He wasn't really knocking down his shots, although he did hit some shots in the fourth quarter. The first half of the game, Isaiah Crawford, he was a little too far off guys, allowed some 3-pointers, and he just made the adjustment just to get up into guys, be physical, and he just made defensive play possession after possession. had like 10 steals and blocks just in the fourth quarter alone. It was crazy. It was such a fun game. Mason Jones absolutely carrying the offense. So watch the Stockton Kings in the playoffs. The next game on Sunday against the Austin Spurs at 6 o'clock on ESPNU, because that game was probably way more exciting than maybe any Kings game is going to be this season, unless something happens in the play-in. And so if you're one of those people that maybe isn't the most excited about the end of this season for the Sacramento Kings, make sure you go tune into the Stockton Kings, because it's very fun. Good vibes. But yeah, I mean, finishing off this game, Sabonis through 3 quarters had 24 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists, and 0 turnovers, which was very nice. DeMar had 22 efficiently. Levine had 25, 10 rebounds. Keegan had the 2 blocks and a steal, and I'm pretty sure he had more blocks than that. Malik came off the bench in 23 minutes and had 17 points efficiently. 0 turnovers for him with 3 assists. So an easy win, as you would expect, and as we kind of should have expected against Washington. And it's just, it does annoy me. It's like, just beat Washington, hold on to that game against Indiana, and maybe there's, I could have still had some faith. But now we got to go play in Cleveland and in Detroit. And so if the Kings go into Cleveland and beat Cleveland, and then go into Detroit and beat Detroit, then they absolutely have reeled me back in. So, but the way that the Kings were able to beat the Cavaliers the first time this season was through just like sheer physicality, sheer will, and shooting well from the 3-point line. That's what it's gonna need to be again. If you remember, that game against the Cavs was the Devin Carter game where he had a career high in like everything. It was also a game Domantas Sabonis did not play in, so that will be interesting. We'll see how Sabonis is able to attack this Cavs team, how Sabonis is able to attack a guy like Evan Mobley if they're matched up against each other, and how he'll be able to hopefully impact the offensive glass, because that's going to be another big area for the Kings. They have to be able to win the rebounding battle in this game if they want to win. Because here's the thing about this game. What are the Cavs playing for at this point? Nothing, right? What are the Kings playing for? Well, the Kings, I would argue, are playing for a few things. One, they're just playing for their pride at this point. At least they should be playing for their pride, because they're kind of getting embarrassed right now towards the end of the season. You're seeing, these like statistics of, in their last however many games, the Bulls are 10-4 and the Kings are 4-11 or something like that. So the Kings should just be able to outwork the Cavs, because the Kings should be playing for pride and the Kings should be playing for play-in positioning, and the Cavs shouldn't be playing for anything. So there's zero excuse to get outworked by this Cavs team. You got to win all of the hustle stats, every single one. You should be able to win the possession battle by a lot, because I think that's the only way you're going to win. So anyways, that is it for this episode of the Roll Report. I will be back on Sunday to recap that game against the Cavs, so I will see you guys then. Peace.